Welcome to Brain Pain, where we discuss everything psychology. I'm John, and as I start every podcast, I am not a therapist. I'm just a guy with a master's degree in psychology, working on a PsyD. This is not meant to replace therapy. This is not meant to solve all of your problems. We're just talking about psychology and things that are related to it. So today we're going to talk about living a satisfied life. I've said it in previous podcasts, but I've stopped using the term happy life and started using the term satisfied life. And I think it's a better set of expectations. Living a happy life may imply always being happy, and we know that's not going to be the case. But how do we build a satisfied life? A book I read called The Blue Zone. It's about longevity and how to live longer and healthier. Did research on places in the world where people live the longest. And one of the commonalities between all the people who were very long-lived is having a purpose, having a reason, having something that made life satisfying. Typically, these were social connections. But also, a lot of them had a passion for something, and they were involved in that with other people. So I would start with finding your passion and understand that it may change over the years. You may be very passionate about something in your teens, and then it may change in your 20s, and again in your 30s to 40s to 50s. It can change what you're passionate about. Now, I'm not talking about those things that we find out about and we get really excited about, and we go and we learn everything we can about it. We get to know everything we can about it, and then it kind of fades off. And we're like, oh, well, it was my passion. It wasn't really your passion. You were just very interested in it. It excited you. But think of your passion as something you'll be interested in even when the excitement wears off, even when it becomes work. That's when you know you found a passion. And it's not always easy. It's not always easy. I've come to mine later in life. Here I am in my 50s working on my PsyD because it took me a long time to get around to that. And I actually have really two things that I'm very passionate about. One is psychology, and there's certain applications that I won't get into right now. But the other is storytelling in various forms, be it music, be it film, be it written. Those are the things I have the most passion about. And I've started to narrow my life down as far as all the things I do so that I can have time to pursue those two things that I really do have a passion about, even when they're work. I know a lot of people who think, I want to be a guitar player, and then they don't play the guitar. Oh, I'm really passionate about it, but I never pick it up. Do you make time for it in your life, or do you let social media suck up all your time instead of participating in that thing that you have a passion for? Understand what your passion is, but also understand that may not be your career. All right. Your career, whether you're executive, a housewife, a plumber, day laborer, doesn't matter. You need to understand what you're doing to make a living. Treat it as a career. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're a stay-at-home mom or dad and your job, or even just a stay-at-home husband or wife, and your job is to take care of the house, take care of it like it is a career. If you're a plumber, treat it as a career. Know what you can about it. Understand how it fits in the picture, the bigger picture. Understand what it contributes, both to your life and to the people that you're serving. I was once challenged with customer support, and they said, well, it's customer support. I don't really contribute anything. Well, yes, you can. Now, you have limits to your job, but you can choose to be very good at customer support, or you can just punch a clock. And I find that the people I know that treat their jobs as careers instead of just jobs are typically more satisfied with their life. Now, they may change that career more readily than someone who's a plumber, or someone who is an executive or a doctor, or you may change your job more often, but you still treat it as a career. And so you want to understand the difference between the job, the career, and your passion. And you may be one of those few people who's making a living pursuing your passion. But I really like what Mike Rowe says, which is, he constantly says, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm not quoting Mike Rowe, but your passion can be your passion and you can pursue it. But there are a lot of jobs that need done that can allow you to pursue your passion outside of your job. You can get a job or create a career that allows you to go spend your time on your passion when you're not doing your job. And he has a lot of great examples, so I won't duplicate them here. I think another big key to having a satisfied life is know that you're going to be sad, and it's okay to be sad. Know that you're going to be anxious about things from time to time, and it's okay to be anxious. The big thing is you don't want to have it rule your life. When you're going to have a bad day, you're going to have a sad day. It doesn't matter how good things are overall, you're going to be sad sometimes. And that's where a social support group really becomes important. We know the value of social support groups because we have a ton of them for just about everything, at least listed on Facebook. There's actual support groups that meet in person as the world opens up again. And these support groups won't fix your sadness per se, but it may help you to process your sadness and be okay, come out the other end okay, and still be satisfied with life. And when I say support group, it doesn't have to be an official one, right? I'm talking about your friends, your family. It might be an official support group. There may be something that you're dealing with that you need other people who are experiencing it or know exactly what you're going through to spend time with. Many of you know that are regular listeners. My brother passed away just over 3 years ago of brain cancer. And there's a lot of support groups for that, official ones. But I also have a big support group in my family and friends around me, and they are incredible and awesome. The other day, it was earlier this month in September. So in early September, when the anniversary of my brother's death came, my friends actually insisted that I not spend the whole day alone. And I didn't think it was a big deal, but after I'd spent some time with them, we ate some tacos. It was pretty cool. But after I'd spent that time with them, I realized that it was important, and it did make my day better, and that it did make things better. And logically it would, right? But I didn't really think I was feeling all the things I was feeling. So that support group is huge, and I encourage you to develop one. And if you don't have one, go start doing the thing that you have a passion about and find other people that have a passion about it too. And I say group, support group, and it's important for it to be a group. And the reason that's important is because the point where you need some support, someone else in your group may need support too. And you may not be able to give it to them, and they may not be able to give it to you, and there need to be other people that can be there to support you. Think about how difficult it would be to be the only person that someone can talk to, and you have a bad day, and they have a bad day. I don't know. I imagine that'd be a really bad day. And so it's it's important to develop a group of people around you that you can support as well as get support from, right? It's not a one-way street. And these are friends, family. That might be, in some situations, it may be a very organized support group. But find that support group, or support groups, plural. The other thing that you benefit from that group is multiple points of view for the same thing, especially when you start talking about organized support groups. You have a lot of people who experience the same thing, but they came from different viewpoints, and that can be very helpful. But the same thing with friends and family, right? Your family may have grown up with you, and your friends may know you for a long time, but they'll still all have different perspectives on the same situation. And within all of this, the group support, develop coping skills. I'm not going to go into a bunch of them right now. I've talked about some before. There's a lot of them out there. They're not hard to find on the internet. Find what works for you, because not everybody can cope in the same way, and that's okay. Another point that's kind of the counterpoint to being sad, and it's okay. You'll be happy or have good moments, and that's okay too. Now, I bring this up because you need to enjoy the good moments, the good times, and be present in them. I know a lot of people who, when things are going well, they start looking for the other shoe to drop. They start looking for the bad to come. Listen, like I said, you're going to be sad. There's bad things that are going to happen in life. There are challenges that will present themselves. Do not live in the negative when the positive is surrounding you. When someone gives you a hug, be there for that hug. Be all in. Be present for that hug. When you're having a good time with your friends, whatever you're doing, listen to music. My example is the other night, we went to, some friends of mine and I went to a comedy club to see Brad Williams perform, who I think he's hilarious. And it was a really good time. And I was present and I enjoyed it. But the truth is, years ago, I wouldn't have been present. I would have been enjoying it, but enjoying it in a reserved fashion, holding back a little bit, not just being open to the whole experience. Because there was something in my brain that just said, if you enjoy it too much, bad things will follow. Now, the reason I use this is because I was out there enjoying that. And the previous day, I had gotten some information that with my day job that I have a few challenges I'm going to have to face. Now, I could have focused on that and let that ruin my night with my friends. I could let that bother me right now instead of doing a podcast. But other than mentioning it for the podcast, I'm not going to deal with it right now, because I will deal with those challenges when it's time to deal with those challenges, not every moment in between. It relates to an old saying that a brave man dies once, a coward dies 1,000 times. And I'm not calling anybody a coward. I'm just saying the point of that statement is, if you deal with death when it comes, if you deal with challenges when they arrive, then you only have to experience the negative once. If you think about it and dwell on it, you will experience it over and over and make your life much less satisfying. Now, I'm not saying don't prepare for anything, because I know some people have some, I know a lot of people, especially in the day of social media, like to use hyperbole. If you don't know what hyperbole is, please look it up. If you use hyperbole after you've looked it up, please stop. There are extreme cases, always. There are always extreme cases of every situation. I'm not talking about those. Yes, you have to plan for your future. Yes, you have to plan to deal with certain things. But that, in that moment when you have to deal with it, when you're planning to deal with it, you are indeed dealing with it, and that must be the time. What I'm talking about is when you can't do anything effective about it, let it go. It'll come back. It'll be there. I'm not encouraging you to be irresponsible in any way. I'm simply saying deal with what needs to be dealt with now, and then when you have a good moment, be there and be present for that good moment, whether it's 2 seconds or whether it's 2 hours or whether it's 2 days or 2 years or 2 weeks, whatever. The next item I'm going to talk about is find a hobby. Now, the joy of a hobby is it may or may not be your passion. It may just be something you kind of like to do for now, and you might switch again later. You want to paint, paint. You want to draw, draw. You want to sing, sing, play musical instruments, go become a rock collector. Whatever it is that you can find that you have interest in that will let you have this hobby. Make sure it's something you enjoy, but you don't have to be good at it. And that's a point I want to stress. You don't have to be good at a hobby. It's a hobby. It's something you enjoy doing for the sake of doing it. And know that, like I said, you can change hobbies. I had an aunt who, she had many hobbies over the years. And she would sometimes bounce back and forth between the hobbies that she had found that she enjoyed. She was better at some than others, but she still did them for the sake of doing them. She found the joy in them, even when they didn't always go right or turn out right for the things that she was doing. Let's talk about rest. There's 2 aspects to rest that I want to discuss. One is sleep. Just normal sleep on a regular schedule. Figure it out. One of the things that will help you sleep is turning off your electronics at a pre-designated time regardless of what's going on. Anybody out there who's a hardcore MMO gamer may find this very difficult. But tell everyone that you're playing with, all the people that are online playing the game with you, that at 9 o'clock I'm logging out, period. The end. If you're watching YouTube, stop watching YouTube. If you're watching streaming videos, be it on any of the social media platforms or being a movie, still turn it off when it's time to turn it off. It'll be there when you get back. And give yourself some time to wind down and sleep. Do that every night. Get up the same time every day, even on the weekends. Make that your schedule. I currently get up at 5 a.m. That allows me to do a number of things during the weekday, but I do the same on the weekend. Now, on the weekend, I might take a nap after I've gotten up and done the things I need to do in the morning. But that regular sleep schedule, regardless of day of the week, will improve your ability to cope with irregularities. So the days that you can't get that sleep, if it happens once in a while, you'll be much better prepared to deal with it. Your body will be. Let's talk about rest to prevent burnout. Use your vacation. Use your paid time off if you have it at work. In some positions, you may have times of the year that you cannot use it, but make sure you're using it regular. Again, I'm going to go back to, I'm not telling you to be irresponsible. Keep some in the bank for emergencies, but use it. Most people wait until they're completely burned out to take a vacation and then don't feel recovered when they get back. Or they use a vacation to do more work instead of relaxing, instead of recharging, instead of doing something they want to do. I'm not saying you need to use your vacation to sit and stare at a wall, but do something fun, not something that's a goal or a job. I've seen a number of people say, I have to do this project on my house, so I'm going to take my vacation to do that. Don't. Do that on the weekends. Do that after work. Do it before work, whatever. Don't use a week. I mean, there may be cases where you need to take a day and do this project at home. I'm talking about where you take a vacation. I think that if you have 2 weeks of vacation a year, you should take at least one whole week at a time. Take a week and just go do something. You say, I can't afford it. Well, great. Then get up every morning and go hike, go walk, go take pictures of the flowers or the dirt or something. Just get yourself the time away from work where you're not thinking about work so that you can then go ahead and be recharged and then go back into your career and do a good job and be better at your hobbies and be better at pursuing your passion. So this gets into the next topic, which is live below your income. I have not always been good at this. So this is not me lecturing other people on how to be, be as good as me. It's actually how to be better than I was. I'm still getting better at all of this, by the way. Reduce your stuff. That's the first step. Reduce how much stuff you think you need to have. We have been built to be consumers, and that's because of our society, at least here in the United States. And I think most Western countries suffer from this to some degree. Walmart is based on consumerism, not providing things people need, but on consumerism. If you see the things that people buy at Walmart, and I've been guilty of it in the past, what does that really, some of that, I'm baffled by some of the stuff that people buy. I mean, it's your money, spend it the way you want, but I'm encouraging you to think about your purchases to have a more satisfied life. I'm going to use the example of pots and pans. I have in my life purchased more pots and pans than I can even recall. And the reason for that is I have purchased cheap pots and pans so I could have more stuff. Recently, because my pots and pans that I needed were worn out and beat up and not very good because they were relatively cheap, I decided to save money for a short period of time to buy it's not top of the line, but it's a stainless steel set of pots and pans that's pretty heavy and should be durable for a long time. I could have gone out and bought another cheap set, burned through them, and then bought another cheap set and burned through them. But instead, I went out and bought a quality set of pots and pans. I guarantee you in 6 months, using those pots and pans, I will be more satisfied with my life than using the cheap ones that have all kinds of problems, loose handles, just problems. But it's because I'm reducing my stuff. I'm not going to keep buying volumes of stuff. I'm simply going to buy things that actually do one of a couple things. They either improve my passions or my hobbies. They either improve my immediate lifestyle for a long period of time, or they are service items. So pots and pans are service items. Buy quality ones. May not have to buy another set the rest of my life. We'll see. Obviously, there are items that you have to replace over periods of time. If you're doing anything of consequence with video or audio, you may have to buy new computers every so many years. But if you're a musician, you know that you don't need to buy a new guitar every couple of years. If you get a good quality guitar, it'll last you a lifetime. You may have to have some work done to it. You'll obviously have to replace the strings. You may have to replace various pieces and parts, but the guitar itself as a bass platform will last a lifetime if you take care of it. You'll also find that if you reduce your stuff and you buy quality stuff, you will be more conscious of its maintenance and taking care of it. At least most of us are. But that comes to the idea of we have allowed society to tell us what to buy, how much stuff to buy. Oh, you need more, you need more, you need more. The whole concept of keeping up with the Joneses. At least in the United States, again, I'm coming back to that. We are driven by consumerism. And there's nothing wrong with wanting something that seems silly or a waste from time to time. But I've found that for me, since I have started really considering my purchases, instead of just going, oh yeah, I'd like that and buy it, I'm happier. I got less. I still have a lot of stuff, but most of my stuff is most of my stuff is very functional and used to achieve the goals that I listed earlier. Passion, hobby, or being functional just for day-to-day living. I debated on where to put this part of the conversation in the order, but I've obviously rested on putting it here. I thought about putting it at the beginning. It ties into your passion, but it ties into your career, it ties into everything else, which is explore life. Reach outside of your known world. Listen to some music you wouldn't listen to. Travel to a place you might not have ever thought to travel to. Find things go looking for things. You won't find things if you're not looking for them, typically. Maybe once in a while, but go looking for things. Go find things of interest. Find things that aren't interesting just to make sure they're not interesting. But go explore life. Go find out what's out there. And really, it starts to understand the things that are strange to you, or try to understand them. Understand what you can about them. It'll broaden your horizons and help you, if nothing else, just appreciate the things that you already enjoy. And so I'm going to wrap up with one last big topic, which is love freely. Now, you have to understand, if you're going to love freely, some people will not understand that. They'll think you have an angle, or they'll think it's romantic love. And I'm not talking about that. I mean, hopefully you'll have some romantic love and it'll work out for you. When I'm talking about love freely, I'm talking about love people. Love the people you get around. But you have to understand too, and this comes back to knowing you'll be sad sometimes, that loving freely will sometimes make you sad because it won't be returned. It may be shunned, or you may see people that you love freely go through terrible things. But it's okay. Loving freely is scary. Loving freely is challenging sometimes, but it's also makes a much better life. It's a much better life. And I said I was going to end with that, but I'm actually going to say one more thing, and that's get off of social media. Stop spending hours and hours and hours on social media. That is not making your life happy. It's not making your life satisfying. It's giving you short dumps of happy juice in your brain that falls away very quickly. I'm not saying you need to completely ignore social media and never look at it again. What I'm saying is limit how much you do a day. Reduce it. Make it a minuscule part of your life. Not something that takes up hours and hours of your time. Spend that on your hobbies and your passions. And for those of you who are going to say, oh, but TikTok's my passion. Great. When you get it to a point where you can make money at it, do it all day long. Because some of you will. But sitting and watching TikTok for hours and hours and hours is not the same thing. And spend your time on social media, in front of the television, podcasts, purposefully. I'm not saying that everything has to have a learning aspect to it, but I know I find myself watching videos on YouTube, and it starts off with, hey, I wanted to watch this, and I follow this guy, and he's got some new content. Okay, I've watched those 2 or 3 things. And then I'm trying to find videos just to keep watching. It's not because there's something specific I want to watch. Same thing with, I'll sit down and look for a movie sometimes, and I'll go on a streaming service, and I go, wait a minute, is there a movie I want to see? Or do I just want to sit here and veg out? And sometimes it's okay to sit and veg out. Again, that comes back to that rest, relax, don't let yourself burn out. But you can also lose hours and hours of your life if you're not doing things purposefully. So I guess that love freely was not the last thing. Right. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up there. Remember that I love you. Take care of yourself. Rock on.